Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Sam's Long Balls podcast with me, Dan. Now, in this video, I am going to do a little bit of a preview and a build up to the big Merseyside derby coming up this weekend as Liverpool head to Goodison Park in order to gain 3 more points and hopefully get their season consistently up and running after 2 victories on the bounce and see if we can have maybe a bit of a title charge this season. As for Everton, they are searching for their first victory of the season. If we look at their form, obviously they lost at home 1-0 to Chelsea, first game of the season, maybe a little bit unfairly. They went up and lost to Aston Villa. And then since then, they've had 3-1-1 draws on the bounce at home to Forest, away at Brentford, which I think actually is a very, very good result, and then away at Leeds. So I think two pretty decent results, getting draws away at Brentford and away at Leeds. So fair play to Frank Lampard. I think he's sort of creating a bit of a team who are trying to be as resolute as possible. But obviously, they are winless in the Premier League so far, and they should, in theory, potentially be there for the taking. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it will be an easy game. I know that sounds a little bit silly to say that they're there for the taking, but in terms of there is a lack of quality in that Everton team. This is the team that you can see on the screen right now that they played last night against Leeds United. So we're going to have a little bit of a chat about Everton and then just quickly sort of have a quick review of the game against Newcastle last night for Liverpool because obviously the euphoria of a last minute goal, fantastic. I think it was well deserved. You reap what you sow in the end. If you waste so much time, and Newcastle did waste time, at times it can come back to bite you. A lot of the time it doesn't. But thankfully the ref was wise enough to add on all of that time. However, as good as that feeling is, and as good as it is to get a winner, especially a last minute winner, surrounded in controversy, which makes it so much better. There were issues last night with Liverpool. Liverpool's performance, I thought, was again poor defensively, very very vulnerable, exposed to that counter attack. Newcastle were actually fantastic. Some of the counter pressing in particular, and their play in transitions. And actually, if Eddie Howe had continued that instead of reverting to a little bit of time wasting, I think Newcastle would have won the game. Obviously, Isaac scoring the second goal ruled out for offside. What do you guys think? Onside, offside? For me, it was offside, but a little bit touch and go. So I think Everton or Frank Lampard will watch that game and really look at Newcastle's tactics and not necessarily licking his lips because there are obviously problems at Everton and they don't have the best team in the world right now. I'm sure Evertonians would absolutely agree with that, but he'll be watching that and going, yeah, this isn't the Liverpool team that were imperious a couple of seasons ago. There are strong vulnerabilities, and Everton do have pace, especially at the top. Liverpool are going to play a high line. Everton can sit deep and they can counter, and they may get joy from it in this game going ahead. Obviously, the last time that we played Everton, it was 2-0 at Anfield. And talking of time wasting, there was a lot of very similar antics in that game. Pickford sort of rolling on the floor from the first 30 seconds of the game. Obviously, Liverpool managed to come back and win that game pretty convincingly in the end. However, a little bit of a trend going on. Most teams that play against Liverpool do tend to sort of play the low block. They will time waste as much as possible, and they will look to hit us on the counter attack. Now, these antics, especially the rolling on the floor, the feigning of the injuries, the time wasting. Look, I'm not going to sit here and go, it's the worst thing in the world. It's absolutely cheating. It happens in the game. It's the same as diving. I know that it happens. If Liverpool were to do it, would I be critical of the team? No, because it's in the end the ends justify the means. Really, if Liverpool go and get a result at Goodison Park and we dive to win a penalty, or we time waste and we pretend to be injured and frustrate Everton, do you think I really care? Absolutely not. Does it mean that I have to agree with it and like it? Equally, no. But Everton will probably implement these similar tactics that they did against us last time. And to be fair, it nearly worked. And Liverpool are starting, I think, to me, to pick up a little bit of a habit of getting very, very frustrated and losing their temper against teams that do this. So this is going to be a tactic that I can imagine from Everton, and Liverpool are just going to have to try and keep their heads in what is going to be an incredibly hostile environment, obviously away at Goodison Park. So Everton will look to frustrate. They will look to time waste, I'm sure, as much as possible. They'll hit us on the counter attack. They will play ugly football at times. I'm not trying to really insult Everton here, but I'm sure this is the tactics that they will implement. And Liverpool themselves will just have to try and keep a clear head, play calm, and keep believing. Because if we if we react how we reacted last night, we won't be at Anfield. We won't have the power of the full stadium behind the players. They will be away from home. They will be, in the fires of Goodison Park. So they're going to have to really keep their heads. So looking at this team, um, you know, last night they played with a back four. I always think with someone like Connor Cody, you ideally want to play in a back five. He's a very, very good player. He's a bit of a traitor as a Liverpool fan. Don't mind me. I'm just going to drink my coffee quick. He's a top player nonetheless, Connor Cody, but I do feel that he would be better in a back five. So I wonder if Frank will will decide actually for this game we're going to go over back five with wing back. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. But Connor Cody and James Tarkowski, similar centre halves, really they can eat up crosses all day long, and that seems to be some tactics that we implement at times. We really do spam the box and keep whipping balls in there. I don't think it suits our play necessarily. The best football that we played against Newcastle last night at times was when we just got the ball on the floor and played it through the middle. Same thing that we did against Palace when we went down to 10 men, just keeping the ball on the ground, playing through the middle. We've got actually very, very good creative players who can do that. We need to stop relying on Robertson and Trent to get out wide and just whipping balls into the box. Look, it has worked and it will continue to work at times, but I think we're a better footballing team than that. And if those are our tactics, then Tarkowski and Cody, they're going to have an absolute field day with that. Onana playing in the central midfield role. They are obviously after Idris Agana Gay, Everton. They want to bring him back to Goodison Park. I think that'll be a really, really strong signing. He's 32 years of age now, I believe. So, yeah, he's a top player and he will give energy, he'll give experience, he'll give real quality to that Everton midfield. So that's going to be a top signing if they can get that done. If they do, I wonder whether he plays against us at this weekend or whether it'll be too soon. Maybe Frank Lampard might just chuck him straight in. He's got the quality. Tom Davis, clever player. Alex Iwobi, look, it's not the greatest midfield in the world. Like I said, I think Everton will sit deep and they will look to hit us on the counter-attack. And although that front three isn't particularly brilliant, I think ideally for Everton, they would have someone like a Dominic Calvert-Lewin in there, but obviously he's out injured. Demarai Gray playing up against our centre-backs. If you watch what Palace did, they had Zaha up top, and I know that Demarai Gray isn't a Wilf Zaha. He's not as good, but similar attributes, pacey, good dribbler. He will cause problems and he will run into those channels. And I can see Gray and Gordon in particular being a real threat against us. Dwight McNeil, to be fair, has had a good couple of games, but he usually plays on our right-hand side when we played sort of against him before when he was at Burnley. So obviously he's left-footed, so if he's playing on that side, he'll probably have to cut inside each time. He's got an absolute wand of a left foot, so he can cause problems for us. But obviously, you're thinking with Demarai Gray, they're not going to be whipping balls into the box that much because you'd imagine Van Dijk and hope possibly Matip. I would go with Matip in this game if he's fit over Joe Gomez. They would eat them up all day long. So Everton, I think, will try to play long. They will go into these channels. This one in particular, I think Trent's having a bit of a nightmare this season defensively. He looks really, really off it to me. And actually, I think there is an argument to be made that Trent should be dropped for this game. He obviously wouldn't want to be. He wouldn't want to be dropped for any game, but obviously away at Goodison Park, Merseyside derby, there's no chance that Trent Alexander-Arnold would be happy with that. But I arguably would go with Matip and Van Dijk at centre back, and I'd put Joe Gomez at right back because I think he's a bit of a walking disaster at this moment at right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I think Gordon has the ability to really cause absolute havoc for him. 70 so he could be the 60-70 million pound man, couldn't he, for Everton? He looks like he's going to stay. So every time he gets on the ball, you can just imagine the roar from the Goodison crowd, and they're going to look to isolate him with Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I think there is an argument to be made that maybe take Trent out. He's not in form at the moment defensively. Put Gomez in. We've got the 5 subs. You can chuck him in. I'm not going to do a starting 11 in this video because I think I'll make that later. I think that's a topic for a whole video in and of itself. But Everton might go with something very, very similar. And I do feel that Liverpool, in terms of their midfield, look, Henderson's going to be out. My apologies there. I had to quickly pause the recording because I had to let my dog out. So this is the height of professionalism in this podcast, but no, this is from the streets. This is real football chat. Anyway, I was mentioning Liverpool's midfield, and I was going to say last night, um, with the Newcastle game, it's the same as we've seen really every game, barring the Bournemouth game. Um, just slow, look physically weak, losing those transitions. We're not winning 50-50s. And once we lose the ball, our midfield genuinely does look quite incapable of winning that ball quickly and sort of, getting in those half spaces and getting those sort of counter presses going. And actually, it's really costing us defensively because people will continue to look at Van Dijk, and I keep hearing things like Talksport where Van Dijk needs to up his game. Yes, I understand that no one is above criticism, and that Van Dijk has not been at his best. However, the midfield in front of him is really non-existent at this moment in time. And when you're playing on a high line, you know, you're vulnerable at the best of times. So when you add into the fact that the midfield are incapable really of winning any tackles at this moment in time. So once the opposition wins the ball, one, maybe two passes and they're in. And Newcastle nearly had a field day against us last night, and Everton will be looking at that. Frank Lampard will be looking at that. So Liverpool need to up their game in terms of midfield. Obviously, Jordan Henderson is out, potentially, a debut for the new boy Arthur. I can't see that personally, but whoever comes into Liverpool's midfield and transitions, winning those 50-50s, winning those second balls is an absolute must, because that Everton midfield, we can talk about a lack of quality. We can probably say that Liverpool do have the better team. They do have the better players on paper, but those Everton players, they're going to come out fiery. They're going to want to win those challenges. They're going to have the crowd behind them. Liverpool are going to have to, A, contain it, but also B, they're going to have to live up to it, or put up with it rather. And Liverpool's starts at the moment are notoriously bad. We cannot wait 20 minutes or 40 minutes or like 60 minutes like it was last night before we start playing actual proper football. This isn't a one-off. This is now becoming a regular game in, game out. Was it last 9 games we've gone behind first in 8 of them? That's a shocking stat, and we can't afford to do that in any game really, but we can't afford to do that in a derby game away from home as well. It's just going to give an Everton team an unnecessary lift. And this Everton team, they're not brilliant. They're not. And if we can go there, keep the ball on the ground, play some good football, play through the middle, try and cut them open. If we can do that, get an early goal ourselves, it quiets the crowd down. And we saw what happened last year when we went away from home, had a brilliant start, went a couple of goals up and really dismantled Everton at Goodison Park. It was a fantastic performance. And I'm hoping for something very, very similar. I don't really know why Liverpool are consistently starting so slowly. I don't know whether it's training. I don't know whether they're being trained too hard, or I don't know whether there isn't enough rest between the games and between the last training session and the games. I don't know what it is, because Liverpool, they look leggy, they look knackered at the start of games, and then they finish games the fitter team. It doesn't make sense to me. It feels really, really strange. But either way, Liverpool need to start this game properly. Midfield needs to up their game. We can talk about defensively. We can talk about Van Dijk, Gomez, all of that, who are making defensive mistakes. Of course we are. But also, main thing is this midfield up against Everton. It needs to be tight. It needs to be compact. It needs to win those second balls. If we can do that, then I'm very, very confident that Liverpool will go there and we can win against this Everton team. So my prediction is I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go clean sheet. Bold, I know, because Liverpool do love to concede goals. They especially love to concede first. But I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Liverpool. I'm going to go with Mo Salah and a Darwin Núñez off the bench. Off the bench, definitely. There's no chance that Darwin Núñez can start this game. He'll headbutt someone in the first 30 seconds if he starts the game. So, a 2-0 win for Liverpool. But, God, it's going to be a tough game, this. But anyway, guys, let me know your comments, or comment down below, rather, your thoughts on this game. Are you looking forward to it? What do you think? Do you think Liverpool can go there and win? Also, Everton fans, let me know your thoughts on this game. Are you up for it? Are you nervous about it? Do you think, actually, we can beat you guys. We can absolutely beat you guys at home, or are you really dreading it? So comment down below, guys, your score predictions for the games, what you think is going to happen and everything. If you enjoyed this build up, then give us a like. That would be amazing. And subscribe, to join the Big Sam's Long Balls Footy family. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you very soon.